Imagine your personal data, your name, your email address, your contact, and your location that is being kept by the EC for various purposes is leaked onto the internet where all persons across the world have access to these personal information of yours. This would be very dangerous to your security. Did you know that same situation occurred in Bangladesh where the personal data of voters was leaked on the internet, but this occurred through legitimate channels, that is their government's websites? How is this possible? That is where the thoughts of external hackers come in mind. My name is Felix Kunedu from St. Augustine'S College, and I'm here with my colleagues,
Jovan Kakwaka,
Johnson Mensah.
and together we are going to examine the current state of elections in the field of cybersecurity, discuss potential vulnerabilities, and briefly highlight best practices for protecting our electoral systems, or even the technical problems that could confront the Electoral Commission's security systems. Our findings are as follows. Many other problems that can affect the Electoral Commission security systems and even disrupt the election processes at large. Taking, for instance, a situation where a dissatisfied EC technician tampers with hardware components such as power adapters and even installs malicious software such as viruses on the EC's computers. Now, voters will not be able to vote since computers will be inaccessible during the elections. That is why we recommend that the EC should implement physical security measures such as installing surveillance cameras and also implementing access controls to restrict the access of employees to their computer systems and also their internal data. The EC should also conduct a regular integrity check and firmware validations to see to it that all their computer systems and also internal data are in good state, and also to be able to detect any form of tampering attempts. There could also be a case where an external hacker orchestrates a distributed denial of service attack using a network of compromised computers called a botnet to send bogus requests to a particular EC database server. Think of it as requesting 200 pieces of papers from a shopkeeper in 1 minute. Due to the short time frame, it will be very difficult for the shopkeeper to grant this request, therefore becoming an overload for him or her. Same applies to the EC's database server that is targeted by the external hacker. In an attempt to respond to the numerous requests sent by the botnet, it will begin to slow down, thereby slowing down the verification process of voters at large. So we recommend that the EC should implement traffic filtering, rate limiting, and also black holing to be able to mitigate any form of distributed denial of service attack. Easily, the EC can also utilize cloud-based DDoS protection services to be able to mitigate any form of DDoS attacks. It could also happen that an external hacker conducts a phishing attack with the aim of tricking EC officials into revealing sensitive login credentials that encrypts the database server. With these login credentials, the external hacker gains unauthorized access to the database server containing voters' information. That is how he is able to leak personal information of voters, like how I mentioned earlier. That's the scenario that occurred in Bangladesh. So to remediate this, the EC should educate their officials and also voters to be able to recognize and report any form of phishing attempts or other suspicious activities. It is occurring, rumors are circulating, states that 2 officials of the EC have been bribed during the Ejisoba elections. It is highly possible that this incident can also occur during the national elections, a situation where a top EC official can be bribed by a political party. That is, he can be offered with huge sums of money or juicy positions to alter the figures of votes cast in a way that elections will go in favor of that particular political party. So we recommend that the EC should set up a security operations center that will implement immutable audit rules to be able to identify any form of changes made on the database server containing the votes cast. The EC should also implement segregation of duty, that is, divided critical tasks amongst a number of officials, so that one official will not have the ultimate privilege to the collation database, thereby abusing this privilege. It could also occur that a malicious insider or a malicious EC employee gains unauthorized access to the voter registration database using SQL map. He can then alter voters' data, thereby preventing some voters from being able to vote since they will not be verified as registered voters. So we recommend that the EC should implement strong access controls such as multi-factor authentication to be able to strengthen the security posture of the database server. The EC can also make proper database server configurations such as input validations to be able to restrict the access of intruders to their database server containing voters' information. Moving on from here, my colleague will guide us through some security measures that could be considered by the EC for a successful approach towards the elections.
To ensure a successful approach towards the elections 2024, the EC should implement these security measures before the elections. Take, for instance, user awareness and anti-phishing training. The EC officials, especially those posted in a EC's management, should be educated appropriately on the best solutions and practices on identifying and reporting phishing attempts. Take a scenario where you wake up early to go and vote, and when you get to the police station, the information that reaches you is that all the biometric verification devices have been stolen. Now, will you wait there all day for new biometric verification devices to be bought in? I'm not sure you do that. You rather go on and carry on with your daily activities. Now, to prevent this, St. Augustine's College is recommending that these portable devices, such as the biometric verification devices, should be stored in a secured facility to prevent tampering and unauthorized access and ensure availability on the election day. Now, moving on, imagine again that you went to the police station to verify your identity, and the polling officer tells you that you're not verified. I mean, how will you feel? And as a result, this was because an external hacker penetrated the weak security of the voter database and deleted the name of the server. Now, to avoid this, security assessments should be performed on the EC's voter database to prevent any breaching and cover all loopholes found. These security assessments should also be made transparent to the public, as well as political parties, so that they will know that, yes, the EC's security is very strong. Now, moving on, we know what the case where the biometric verification devices, as I said earlier, to be spoiled on that day. We don't want them to malfunction on the day I will use it. Now, to prevent this, these portable devices, such as the biometric verification devices, should be tested to ensure availability on the election day so that it runs smoothly. Now, imagine an EC employee with the right to the EC's voter database. I want it to be easy for him to change any voter data or information. Yes, it will. This is why security operation centers should be established before the elections so that they will use immutable audit trails and digital signatures to detect any changes made to the voter information.
Even with all the security measures that have been put in place before the elections, the security of our elections is still not complete, since the actual voting process itself has not been secured. Take this case, for instance, where a voter has to wait in line for 1 hour before he gets to be verified. Now, if you are the 10th person in line, can you wait for the next 10 hours? Definitely not. That is why the Security Operations Center should monitor all activities that go on during the elections, including the network traffic, to ensure the availability of the database server for the voter verification process. Also, violence and vandalism are common topics that are related to elections. Take the 2020 incident, for instance, where 5 people were shot in an attempt by the security personnel to maintain law and order. To prevent this from repeating itself, the EC should train all their security personnel with de-escalation techniques so that in their attempt to maintain peace, they will not shed any blood. Now, looking at the current doomsday situation at hand, it is highly possible that on the election day, there may be a national blackout which will affect the result transmission. In view of this, the EC should supply uninterruptible power supply and power generators to all their collation centers so that no blackout can disturb the result transmission. Finally, there are some security measures that the EC should also put in place after the elections. First, we have conducting post-elections investigations. This involves the EC conducting meetings to discuss all activities that went on during the elections. I personally call this uncovering the truth. This is where we get to know whether there was ballot stuffing or one person voted 30 times. Basically, this helps the EC to further affirm the legitimacy and the accuracy of the election results. But it doesn't end there. Afterwards, a post-elections investigation report should be publicized so that the general public also becomes aware of the fact that nothing bad occurred during the elections. This will prevent conflicts that may arise between political parties and ensure trust in the election procedures and also the election results. We believe that if these security measures are taken into consideration by the Electoral Commission of Ghana, the upcoming 2024 elections will be a successful one. Remember, election security is a top priority for Ghana's stability. Let us secure our votes and safeguard our future. Thank you.